We have another interesting show for you guys this week as well. It's going to be the post-draft. We're going to talk a lot of Jets football, mixing a little bit of Giants football as well, since I got my brother on. Right off the bat, I want to thank a couple of people. First of all, I want to thank Jayhawk Jet. He came on our last week's show. I also want to thank Young J00 as well for coming on. Also, there's the podcast called Let's Talk Jets. They do a good job of keeping everyone informed and posted. I believe Young J00 works with them as well. So make sure you guys watch their channel, or be able to listen to their podcast, follow their Twitter, and we'll go ahead and get started that way. So right off the bat, I have my right-hand man, D, the Giants fan. He's on as we speak. D, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey man, as you just said, Damon, Giants fan. I'm on the show with you guys. Talk some Giants Jets draft. It's been a good couple of days for both teams, and hopefully we can kind of break it down.
Okay. The next person that I want to introduce, he's got his own channel. It's called Sports Talk HD. He's a great Jets fan. He follows my channel. I would like to go ahead and introduce him. He goes by the name of Antonio. Antonio, go ahead.
Hey everybody, hardcore Jets fan living in West Palm Beach, Florida. I post a lot of great content and just love the Jets overall. And great draft today. Mike Hagan's a genius, I just gotta say.
Awesome. You got a Jets fan right behind enemy lines. I like it. Doesn't Tampa Bay have a crazy fanatic Jets club down there? Somewhere in Tampa Bay?
Yeah. I actually visited that once or twice because my aunt lives in Apollo Beach. Visited that place once or twice. Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Okay, cool. Right off the bat, very interesting NFL draft, I gotta say. Overall, James Winston, predictable where he went to Tampa Bay. Same thing with Mariota. But as far as the Jets acquiring Leonard Williams, I gotta say that was really insane. Just because I didn't expect him to drop to the sixth round. Sixth pick. I'm a USC guy, so obviously I was ecstatic about it. Our defensive line right now can be considered a very a fearful defensive line. I mean, with Mo Williams, having Leonard Williams, having Shelton Richardson, a 3-4 defense right now off the bat, we're going to be able to play that easily. So very, very interesting. I mean, he had a spectacular year, Leonard Williams did last year. D, when you saw the Jets acquiring or drafting Leonard Williams, what were your thoughts?
First of all, my thoughts was I was hoping that you guys are not going to go for Leonard Williams, because I was hoping that since you guys are pretty good on the defense and defensive line, and you got Muhammad Wilkerson still to re-sign, I was hoping you guys going to think in that line and just kind of pass on him, so he's going to fall down to us. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. But listen, guys, this is a great pick for the Jets. I mean, I can't stress it enough. This out of all the teams, I think this was the biggest surprise and the biggest pick. And I don't know how he fell, so far down. I thought he might go, third or fourth, the latest. But this is another thing, though. With this pick, it kind of sends me a signal that you guys are not gonna sign Wilkerson to a long-term contract. I think that the thinking behind that was to get him, so if Wilkerson leaves, you guys have a player to just slide right in and fill his spot, and probably not feel any, it won't draw you guys back, So, but if you get him and you're able to sign Wilkerson to a long-term contract, man, that defense, that pass rush is going to be a beast for many, many years to come. So you know what? My hats off to your GM, the coach. They did a great job on picking him, and consider you guys lucky for him really to drop to number 6.
Yeah, I'm going to get into that a little bit. Antonio, what were your thoughts on Leonard Williams getting drafted first by the New York Jets?
I was ecstatic. I have a video on my Instagram. I was so ecstatic when we picked him. The only problem I have with it is it puts us in a very tough position because Muhammad Wilkerson, maybe with him at the front, may not want to sign to a long-term deal, maybe knowing that he has competition at that spot. But before the draft, I spoke personally. I'm very personal friends with Muhammad Wilkerson's dad, Shabazz Wilkerson, and he told me before the draft that he was willing to take a pay cut to stay with the Jets. I'm not sure if that holds up now that we have we have Williams, but I really like Williams at that defensive tackle spot. Maybe we can work him in there more and try to keep Wilkerson at the end because he's got more of a tackle stature to me, just me personally. But great pick. We couldn't obviously pass on him, but we could have traded. But I'm a big fan of Williams, and I like seeing him in a Jets jersey, so I approve of the pick.
Here's the thing, guys. I loved it. I did not want to get Mariota nor Jameis Winston. I thought Winston was going to get burned by the media in New York. There was no way he's going to be able to, be our starting quarterback. Because here's the thing: in New York, it's one thing to be able to play the game, and the other thing is to be able to play in New York. So same thing goes with Mariota. I don't feel like he's going to be NFL ready. The fact that we got Leonard Williams, I couldn't believe it. I expect him to be drafted right off the bat, but he wasn't. And Mike McKagan was on the record, and he said it, numerous times. He said, he understands what the team needs, but then he also understands the talent that's in front of him and how he cannot, give up on that type of talent. So he's got to be able to jump on it when the opportunity is there. Now, as far as us acquiring him and Mo Williams not signing with us, any stuff like that, at first I was, I was a little fearful of it, but now that I sit and think about it, whether long-term or short-term, I'll take Mo Williams for 2 more years. I don't really see him as a 6-7 year type of contract. Give him 3-year deal, I'm okay with it. They also asked Todd Bowles whether if the team having so many defensive linemen, whether if they want to consider going 4-3. Todd Bowles was very keen on staying to 3-4. So I can't wait to see how that defense turns out. I know a lot of people wanted us to go maybe offensive line or wide receiver first round. I'm okay with not getting White. I'm not a big White fan. Not to mention he's from West Virginia, so is Geno Smith. So there's a little bit of connection there. But I really dislike West Virginia and Louisville because Louisville, Pryor went to Louisville and Geno Smith went to West Virginia. Neither guys panned out. So let's talk about our second pick, Devin Smith. Again, I was really happy about this pick. Devin Smith had 33 catches last year. One of the biggest attributes of Devin Smith is he can go deep. He's a tall receiver. One of the biggest statistical things that I saw of Devin Smith is he had 12 touchdowns last year. And I think the reason why this pick was made is because we were one of the teams that suffered in the red zone. We suffered in the red zone, and this is the type of guy that maybe at the 5-yard line you could just throw it up for him, and he can be the one to catch it, whether it's him or Brandon Marshall. So I'm really, really happy with the Devin Smith pick. D, what's your take on Devin Smith?
Absolutely. I mean, he is a guy that can track a deep ball, if better, if not as good as any receiver, that I've seen so far. And his speed, he's a 4.4, for his speed, and he's a speedy guy. He can go vertical. He's a good route runner. And just like you said, I mean, in my cover that red zone issue that you guys had. Now you have Marshall at one side, you have Smith on the other side, or you can put both on the same side and just throw the ball up for them for grab. At the worst case scenario, so you have 2 big weapons at their end zone right now. And I think that was a very smart, pick and very safe pick at the second round.
Yeah, Night of the Shield just commented. Sorry, I think my internet just cut off and I just cut you off. I apologize. But Night of the Shield just left me a comment saying, "You're welcome for Leonard Williams." Night of the Shield, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. But I do want to say, you're welcome for having Amari Cooper, and I can't wait for that matchup. Week 8. Antonio, what was your take on Devin Smith?
Well, my take on Devin Smith is that, personally, both of my parents and my brother in this household are Michigan fans, so we got to see him plenty of times burn up Michigan. plenty of times against Ohio State. So I personally love and hate the guy just because I'm a Michigan fan, but just coming from an unbiased standpoint, he's a great player, and I'd like to see a third-string corner cover him when you got Brandon Marshall, Eric Decker, and then not to mention that Jeremy Curley's either going to be at that 3 or 4 spot, and he's just going to dominate. I believe this opens a whole new door for Jeremy Curley because he was great at a third string, and now I think he's going to get way up on a 4th string. So I think that opens up a lot of doors for Jeremy Curley, and personally I think it was the safe pick at second.
Yeah, no, here's the thing is, with Brandon Marshall and Devin Smith, I mean, those guys that we can go vertical with, and Curley and Decker can be your wide receivers that can catch the ball short. So I'm definitely ecstatic over our wide receiving core. I think more than anything, we definitely have depth going to next year.
Absolutely.
And it's amazing how Mike McKagan was able to turn these things around. I mean, these are flaws that we've had for 2 years, and the fact that he can step in and fix this in 3 months kind of tells you how proactive he is compared to what John Idzik was for the New York Jets. Lorenzo Malding, outside linebacker, Louisville, 6'4", 259. This guy's got a little bit of story to him. I guess he grew up in a very rough neighborhood or whatnot, and when Todd Bowles gave him the phone call, he just kept crying. So, honestly, I don't know what to make of this guy. I don't know too much about Lorenzo, but there's just something that tells me about a guy that's hungry to play football. It kind of, it's nice because our linebacking core right now isn't where it needs to be. So I'm really ecstatic over this pick, but I'm a little confused. D, what's your take on the outside linebacker position or the draft that we have for the New York Jets?
Listen, the one thing I saw from this guy plays hard, man. This guy goes hard every play and plays hard, and that's every coach's dream, to have a player that gives 100%, that goes hard every play, and this is a player that is going to give you that, not only just because of his background, it's just is in his nature to give 100% on every play. And with the coaching that he's going to get from Todd Bowles, I think he at the third pick, third round pick, he'd be a more than a decent linebacker for you guys, and I'm really looking forward. I'm rooting for this guy, and I'm hoping he's going to succeed in the NFL and then see some good things that he's going to be doing for the Jets.
Yeah, no, I agree. Antonio, what's your take on the outside linebacker Malding getting drafted by the Jets?
Yeah, well, his background story is one of the better I've seen. He's been tossed around from over 16 foster homes during his childhood. And to come over to Louisville and just dominate college football from someone that didn't think he was going to amount to anything. He's one of those people you just want to lift up, and I think Todd Bowles recognized that. And Todd Bowles always wants to get a person that's a hard worker. And right now this fit right into his defense, his right-hand man. I actually think he would succeed in New York just because he doesn't have to start at linebacker. Not throw him in there. He can learn from some of our veteran linebackers, and I think this will be a great experience for the Jets and for him.
Yeah, definitely. The next pick that I can't believe, and you called it, Antonio, that he's gonna, we're gonna take him in the 4th round. And I didn't really expect him to be there that long. Is Bryce Petty. I liked Bryce Petty when he was in Baylor. I think this is a phenomenal pick. I think, our quarterback competition just heated up a little bit. I wasn't too sold on Ryan Fitzpatrick when we got him, and never have I been a Geno Smith fan, but I do feel like, for us investing into him last year, we definitely need to give him another shot. So Bryce Petty, he's 62 touchdowns he threw all 4 years for Baylor, 10 interceptions, 29 touchdowns and 7 interceptions last year. What that basically kind of tells me is he's a pretty he doesn't make too many mistakes. He's a quarterback that is able to read plays just fine, and on his intellectual level, he's definitely much more intelligent than Geno Smith is, because there were some boneheaded plays Geno Smith made last year where I'm just scratching my head. I can't believe what's going on. So, the fact that we got Bryce Petty, I'm very ecstatic over it. I think there are two areas within our team there's going to be a massive competition. One is going to be the quarterback, and the other one's going to be the running back. But I'm not going to touch on the running back position yet. D, what's your take on Bryce Petty?
Yeah, believe me, I was surprised too that he got drafted in the fourth round. I was expecting him to go at least in the third round, the latest. But listen, he's a good quarterback, but I don't think he's NFL ready yet. I mean, of course, he's going to bring competition into the team, bring another quarterback that can compete with Geno Smith and Fitzpatrick. But he is not NFL ready. He needs at least a couple of more years. Under a good coach to learn the NFL game and be ready to play for an NFL team. And I think, you know what, listen, your quarterback situation is not set in stone, and anything can go wrong, and he might start middle of the year, but at least you have a backup that you can count on if he needs to. But hopefully you guys are not going to be at the point that you're going to need to start him middle of the year or anything. He needs to sit for a couple of years to be seasoned, to see some plays, to be in practices, to compete against some NFL players before he's ready to take the field.
I agree with you in some points. I definitely think he's not, he's not ready right off the bat, but at the same time, I kind of feel like he is ready. He's got a great size on him. I mean, I believe he's a pretty tall player. He's got some weight on him as well. So I definitely think, I don't know. Either way, I'll be pulling for him. Antonio, what's your take on that pick, Bryce Petty?
Well, as I said, I predicted the pick in the fourth round. He fits that NFL quarterback mold. He's exactly between the 6'3", 6'4" range and the 200 pounds. It's what every quarterback coach and offensive coordinator wants to see. But I believe it's going to be more like the quarterback competition between Fitzpatrick and Geno Smith. I'm leaning towards it, even though I don't want him to start, I'm leaning towards Fitzpatrick starting this year just because he's had Chan Gailey's offense in him already. But this pushes Geno Smith to a whole nother level.
I hope it pushes him off the team.
Yeah, I mean he's nowhere on this. He's not going to come back next year if he can't prove himself this year. I believe they will start Geno Smith just to push him and see if he can become that quarterback they've been wanting him to for the last 2 years. But Bryce Petty, I believe he's an emergency quarterback. It replaces Sims, which I thought didn't do a good job at all. But if you can just plug him in, if you really, really need a quarterback, Fitzpatrick's not working, Smith's not working, you got him, throw him in there. He's not a day one starter. He's still very raw. I believe if you teach him the right way, he could be a great quarterback in this league.
No, here's the thing is I think the positive note here is the fact that Chan Gailey's the offensive coordinator, and he's definitely patient with quarterbacks, and he's definitely the right guy to be able to develop, him into a starting quarterback in the league. Before I kind of go on with the rest of the picks, and I definitely don't want this video to be as long as the other one we did was 2 hours. Yeah. I want to kind of jump into the Giants draft picks real fast. I want Dee's take on, basically just summarize the Giants draft pick for me and tell me what your take was as far as the Giants were concerned.
Listen, pick 1, 2, and 3, Flowers, Collins, and the guy from USC that I do not want to try to pronounce his last name, or his first name.
UCLA.
Yes, from UCLA. Great picks. I love the picks. I thought, the first round pick of Eric Flowers, that's a good pick. We need to protect Eli, and that's how we won our past, the 2 Super Bowls that we did. If we give Eli time, he can find his receivers, especially with having, Beckham Jr. and Victor Cruz and Randall and his tight ends. So definitely I love that pick. That kind of solidifies the offensive line. Landon Collins, definitely. I mean, we don't have safeties, and we definitely need the guy.
And that's what I was worried about, is you guys getting a safety. You guys need
absolutely. Absolutely, and I hope he plays to his potential, and he's gonna become a great safety in the NFL. And UCLA player, that's also a for a defensive end. We do need some pass rush, even though he is not as good of a edge pass rush as he is in the middle. But you know what? These are young players. You can teach him things, and you can show him some techniques, and he might become a great edge rusher as JPP. Putting these players together, I think 1, 2, 3 was a great draft for the Giants. I was not happy with the 5th round draft pick. Thompson, I didn't even think this guy gonna get drafted. I think he's gonna go undrafted. Nobody wanted him. Even during his conference call, he was surprised that the Giants picked him. He said the Giants were the only team that invited him for a visit. Why would you pick somebody in a 5th round pick that nobody else is gonna pick? So I do not understand the logic behind that. But there are some things that JRX does that we don't understand, and you know what? That's his job is on the line this year, and hopefully he's not gonna miss with these players, because if he does, then you know what? It's his job and his legacy. But you know what? 1, 2, 3, I'm happy with it. After that, usually after the 3rd round and the 4th round, you're not going to get as good of players as you're expecting. You know what? After that, there are some other players. Davis, a wide receiver. I mean, we got a whole bunch of wide receivers. 6'2", 216. So he got some height to him. He got some weight to him. He can run fast. He's a tall receiver. So it all depends how they're gonna develop the guy, and where and how they're gonna use him. Otherwise, I really don't see much of a competition for him coming into the camp, because we got 3, 4 good receivers right now that he has to compete against. Beside that, we had Bobby Hart, offensive guard. He's a big dude, 6'5", 329 pounds.
You guys definitely want to protect Eli going into next season.
Definitely. I mean, if nothing, this guy can be on the practice squad. If nothing, this guy can be a depth to our offensive guard. And like I said, you never can go wrong with size in the offensive line. And like I mentioned, the guy is 6'5", 329 pounds. So there's nothing wrong with that.
I'm so glad you didn't try to pronounce that defensive lineman's name.
I
it took
can't.
you about a week to pronounce Osi Umenyora's name for about a week.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm so glad you didn't do that. Now,
we should just call him Double O.
Yeah, here you go. Double O sounds good.
Hey, I like that. So here's the thing. Before we continue, I want to praise Mike Maccagnan. What a genius. The reason why I say that is, you keep watching his press conferences. I mean, the guy, I've never seen any type of person that's never been around the New York market or New York media be able to take on that media the way he does. He jokes around. I mean, he said something about, I'm afraid if I would have, drafted another defensive lineman, you guys would have thought I was going to trade Sheldon Richardson. And he definitely knows how to break the ice. And Woody Johnson really deserves a lot of that credit, because it was up to him to be able to make that decision to get rid of John Idzik. And also, be able to replace him with Mike Maccagnan, or however you pronounce his name. So our 7th-round pick, we made a trade. Basically, we ended up getting what's the guy's name from Zach Stacy from the St. Louis Rams. Yeah. He had a great year in 2013. He almost had about 1,000 yards, 7 touchdowns. That's something our running backs weren't able to get into the end zone last season. Actually, we didn't get into the end zone, period, for the most part. In 2014, he didn't have that good of a season, but as soon as Todd Gurley got picked by the St. Louis Rams, Stacy wanted to trade, and we were able to make that happen. I was texting or tweeting with Jayhawk Jet about us needing a running back. And I told you 2 areas where can't wait for training camp to see what's going on or what's happening is the running back position, because we're going to have Ivory, Powell, Riley, and now Stacy competing for that role. Unfortunately, we re-signed Powell, and he's not going to be able to get that easy, starting role or maybe backup role. Every year it seems like he's going to have competition and competition over and over again. But it'll be interesting to see who wins. Antonio, what do you think about us acquiring Stacy?
Well, I think about acquiring Zach Stacy. It's just a matter of picking, like McCagan says, the best player. This one was not exactly a pick; it was a trade. But for a 7th-round pick, you would not be able to get better than Zach Stacy. I do kind of feel bad for Powell though. How long has he been there? Like 3 or 4 years under all those running backs. He's been patient. I like the guy when he runs. I just think it brings more competition to the running back spot. I think the Vereen signing was just a slap in the face to the Patriots, saying we have your running back. But he is still a great runner, and Ivory, of course, is a great runner. He's done nothing but good things since he's landed in New York. I'm thinking about if, let's just say, I mean, you can never have too many running backs. One goes down with an injury, you can plug one of them in. I believe Stacy will get some carries in the 2015 season, just not many. He still needs to prove himself after having one fantastic season. And then Trey Mason coming in. Feel bad for Zach Stacy, too. He's only got really one opportunity. He shined, and then they go and pick up 2, Trey Mason, and they pick up Todd Gurley. They pick up 2 rookie running backs. But he's found a new home in New York, and I hope it's a good one.
Yeah, the only concern that I have with Stacy is his size. I'm not too fond of small running backs. I think the size of Curtis Martins don't usually come around much. But that's the only concern I do have, because if you look at our running backs right now, the only big running back, physical running back we do have is Chris Ivory. But that's kind of my take on it. But no, overall, I'm very satisfied with the draft. We did also draft a guard from Texas A&M, Jarvis Harrison. So I'm glad we were able to do that as well. But how nice would it have been if the free agency was after the draft? Wouldn't that just make it much more easier? You were able to then later, after you have the draft, because draft you're not able to pick and choose as much as you can in the free agency. What do you think about that? Do you think maybe sometime down the line we should definitely have the free agency after the draft?
Isn't the free agency after the draft anyway?
Well, the free agency opens up before the draft. I mean, you still can sign free agents, but all your hot free agents are going to be gone.
Yeah, true, but I mean, if you want to leave it, if you want to open up it early and then be patient until you do your draft, or otherwise you can wait after your draft to see what your needs are to address that. But while I'm on the subject, Anthony mentioned something about the Patriots getting slapped by losing their wide receiver. They actually got slapped twice, because the Giants got Shane Vereen and the Jets got Stephen Ridley. Yeah. So they got slapped from both sides. So let's see.
3 times actually. If you want to leave us in there.
Yeah.
The Jets smacked them. Yeah. The Giants came over and smacked them this way, and then the Jets were like, "All right, what am I going to do? I'm going to smack you again." Yeah, that's what happened.
No, I mean, listen, you guys have some good running backs, and you never can run out of running backs. I mean, just imagine that the couple of years that the Giants won the Super Bowl. What was it? Earth, Wind, and Fire. You had 3 good running backs. That were right after each other, and they would give breaks and take each other's place. And that's the situation that you guys are in right now. You guys have 4 good running backs that will be competing. And listen, like I said, you're never going to run out of running backs. There's always running backs needed. They always get injured, and it's always good to have that depth, and you guys have that right now.
I got to ask you, I mean, I'm sorry that I keep going back to this Giant thing, but here I want to ask you this. You guys have a ridiculous wide receiving core, okay? I mean, you do, with Odell Beckham and also Victor Cruz. But again, young Jay Zierzer made a good point. He's not saying that Victor Cruz is not, but we don't know what to expect from him when he comes back from that type of injury.
Oh, please.
Give me a second. Come
on with young Jay-Z. Young Jay-Z. Give the Super Bowl to the Jets,
Hey, that's why I love him. So, that's why I love him. So, with that being said, do you really feel good with the picks in the draft for your defense? I mean, Don't you wish you guys were more proactive in the free agency?
Well, I mean, like I said, free agency is not over yet. I mean, we don't know
But who's
what we're
available?
gonna.
Who's available? Who's
Listen,
available now?
listen. Calm down, calm down. Not everybody like Jets is gonna jump into the market and sign, Rivas to 20-something million a year
So you're
contract.
telling me that was
Okay.
not a good. You're telling me that was not a good. Antonio, how did you feel about Rivas coming back?
Oh man, I saved his jersey, man.
Yeah,
Saved his
exactly.
jersey over here.
Listen,
Thank you.
listen, guys.
You
Listen,
couldn't give up
please.
on Rivas.
Please, I mean, what is the competition between the Jets and the Giants? I mean,
I'm not-
there is no competition. What are you trying to compare? You trying to compare my Super Bowls to your Super Bowls? I mean, is that what we're trying to compare? We are not. So let's calm it down. Let's calm it down. Let's see what this new regime is gonna do before
So far,
Jets
so
fan
good.
before
So
before
far,
Jets
so good.
fan jump out there and try
So
to
far, so
compare before you Jets fan jump out there and try to compare yourself to the Giants, okay? So
No, so far so good.
so far so
Um,
good, absolutely. I mean everything looks good so far on the paper, but you don't play football on the paper. So let's see what's gonna happen in the field.
1 through 10. How do we feel about the Jets' entire draft pick? I'm gonna give it an 8+. And the only reason why I wouldn't give it like a 9 or a 10, I did want, I did want us to be able to. When we got that outside linebacker position, I wish it was an offensive lineman. That's my only regret. But again, we do need a depth in our linebacking core, so I guess I'm happy with it. But the fact that we got Leonard Williams, Devin Smith, and Bryce Petty, I mean, I can't be happier than that. D, what grade the Jets picks through 1 through 10? Tell me what you think.
Definitely. I mean, 8+ is they're great. I think they had a great draft. I mean, it's been a long time that we've seen the Jets do a good job at drafting players, and this was just a complete victory for the Jets all the way around, in my opinion. I mean, they did a great job, and they addressed their needs. They added more than addressing needs. They added some spectacular talent to their team, and that's what wins football games is talent. And now they have some amazing talent on the defensive side, and they added a couple of offensive players, especially Devin Smith, and let's see what's going to happen.
Right before I go to Antonio and ask him his opinion on that, again, I was so expecting the Jets fans to boo the draft. I mean, we're so used to booing our first rounders; it's ridiculous. But I think everybody was happy with the player that we got. And I know there's some mixed feelings about it, but I'm okay with it. And I don't remember the last time that the Jets had this much depth in the wide receiving core with Decker, Marshall, Devin Smith, Curley. So, Antonio, grade the draft from the Jets for me, would you?
I'm going to give us 9 here just because of the trades we made. A guy that hasn't been talked about a lot is Deviar Posey. He really has not given a chance to prove himself. Maybe he could be a pick worthwhile. Just the trades we made in the draft as well to get more picks. Like you said, there's not been a lot of cheering within the NFL draft. And I think there needs to be because I remember I was booing Calvin Pryor when we picked him last year. I really wanted them to get the Florida boy, Calvin Benjamin, to build that wide receiver core to the top, just because I'm a Florida boy. But the reason I believe they didn't pick a lot of offensive linemen is we're not building a Super Bowl team this year. We're building a team that's going to build into the future into a Super Bowl team. If you look at some of the offensive linemen we signed this year, like Seahawks, James Carpenter, he'll definitely help. But if you look in the 2016 draft, I mean, the offensive linemen there topped the draft this year twofold. I mean, if we get at least a decent pick next year, we'll be able to pick up some offensive linemen of the future. Like I said, we're not building a Super Bowl team. We're building the future right now.
Totally. I do have a question from Mutt Gameplay. He's asking, what about Mariota? I'm going to return that question and ask you, what about Mariota? I mean, Mariota's in Tennessee. I did not even want to consider. I did not even want to I don't know. I care less about Mariota, to be honest with you. I don't want to trade up for him. I don't want to deal with none of that nonsense. I feel great with the picks that we do have. I don't think there is any need for Mariota. He's such a system quarterback, and I don't want the team to change his course just because they want to play a certain system around a quarterback. So, no, I'm ecstatic for our picks. Thank you for your questions, but Mariota or not, I'm not a big fan.
If I may add something, that's
go
my
ahead.
brother. My brother found the stream. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, he's. I'm a big Mariota fan, as he knows, and I wasn't disappointed we didn't get him. It's just that I have a really special connection with Marcus Mariota. I've interviewed his football personnel coach. He's just a great overall athlete. I think a lot of people are sleeping on his intelligence. If you look at all the intelligence he has, he'll be able to learn a system for sure. I think he's gonna be a better quarterback than Jameis Winston. Given time, just because of his football IQ. But I'm glad the Jets didn't trade up the pick. It would have cost too much. I mean, the Titans were denying Philadelphia Eagles for what they were supposed to trade up. I'm not sure if this is official, but it seems like Chip Kelly was trying to give up one of their defensive ends, which was their player of the year in Philadelphia. So if they didn't accept that trade, I would not even want to look at what the Jets would have to offer to get at number 2.
Gotcha. D. Mariota to the Jets. What's your thought?
No, same thing. I mean, the cost of moving to number 2, it's outrageous, So, and you would have had to give up some draft picks and then some players, and absolutely would have been insane. I think you guys did a good job the drafting and stayed put, didn't panic. Like our friend said, they are not building a Super Bowl team for this year. They are getting ready. They are putting the team together for the next 2 years or maybe 3 years down the road. But they are building the team to be ready for a Super Bowl. And you know what? Mariota wouldn't get them there this year, and he wouldn't have get them there next year. But you know what? There are going to be quarterbacks that is going to come by in the hopefully next draft or a draft after that. If that is the only thing you are missing, then you can go for it and draft, and then trade up. But this year, that is not the only piece that you are missing to be a Super Bowl team. There are a few other pieces that are missing that hopefully you put together in the next year or two, and then you can think about a good quarterback.
Yeah, no, definitely. And that's all I got for the draft, guys. And again, I don't really want to make this video as long as we did the other one. But no, overall though, really solid draft. Again, and Mike McKagan, I trust Mike McKagan. We all trust. Now it's on Todd Bowles. Now it's on Todd Bowles to be able to do something with the team. I can't wait for training camp. I can't wait for the season to start. Right off the bat, I want to go ahead and thank my right-hand man, D, for getting on. Antonio, thank you so much for getting on as well.
No problem.
Guys, please check out his channel. It's called Sport Talk HD. I'll put his link under the description box.
Thank you.
We'll kind of go from there. And again, guys, have a good week.
All right.